Personal story segment tonight, as I believe I have made very clear, a combination of European cowardice and awful American foreign policy has led to a mass Muslim migration that will affect the entire world. Joining us now from Washington with his view of the situation, Fox News strategic analyst Lieutenant Colonel Ralph Peters. What say you, Colonel?
Well, first of all, I think you are much, much too soft on President Obama and a bit too hard on the EU. If America doesn't lead, it doesn't happen. And just look at a map of the Middle East on the last day, on George W. Bush's last day in office. There is broad peace across the Middle East and North Africa. Iraq was finally convalescing. And as you pointed out, Obama promptly, to please his America-hating base, abandons Iraq, backs the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt, gets rid of Gaddafi without a plan for what goes after, threatens Assad, he's got to go, then does nothing, draws red lines, does nothing, doesn't listen to the intelligence community when for years they're warning him about Islamic State coming. Then he tries to blame the intelligence community, launches feckless airstrikes. The combination of his fecklessness and cowardice, his rhetorical bravado, and utter incompetence are responsible. Look, what the spectacle you're seeing, those refugees, the hundreds of thousands of refugees, the millions in the camps, they're Obama's refugees. The hundreds of thousands of dead in Syria and Iraq and elsewhere, they're Obama's dead.
Well, wait a minute.
Oh, by the way, no, listen to this. The 2,000 years of Christian civilization destroyed on his watch. That's on Obama.
Okay,
if America doesn't lead, nothing happens.
Well, here's where I disagree with you. And obviously, I couldn't have been harder on President Obama's foreign policy than I was in the talking points memo. The European Union didn't help us from the jump, all right? Germany, you know this, sent no troops to Iraq, very few to Afghanistan, whining all the way, all right? Great Britain did some, they did the most. Australia, but they're not part of the Union, they did some. But France, lately they've been better, but in the beginning they were an enabler of Saddam Hussein. They stood by, they being the European Union, and watched all of this stuff happen that you just outlined, okay? If they had given Obama any support at all to go after Assad, I believe he would have. But Obama did not want to go it alone. He didn't want to go up against Putin. But if Merkel and France and Britain had said, you know what, buck up, Barack, you got to get rid of this guy. You got to go in and bomb him. He would have. I really believe that. I really believe that.
I just disagree. I absolutely don't agree. And by the way, I'm still not sure I really want a heavily remilitarized Germany. But even beyond that,
they can help out. It's a wealthy nation. They can help out with money. They can help out a lot of ways. They didn't do anything.
Look, we're doing a post-mortem on what's happened to date. And we see the horrible pictures from Europe and elsewhere, and there's a backstory on that. But there's a lot more to come with Putin moving to the Middle East, with Iran on the loose now, because they know Obama will
there's
do
another
nothing
thing.
to
Why doesn't Europe stand up against Iran? Why doesn't Europe stand up against the mullahs? They never do. They never do.
We don't yeah, you're right. But if we don't set the pace, nothing will happen. And by the way, two things. The media reports, they're playing heavily on all these refugee families and a dead child. Look at the broad, wide-angle lens pictures. Most of the people flooding into Europe are young military-age males from the Middle East who won't fight to fix their own country. They have no right to asylum in Europe. None whatsoever. Go back to Syria and fix it. Fight and fix your country. And the second thing is the media is missing this. Most of the countries that are most vociferous against accepting refugees, Poland, Slovakia, Hungary, Serbia, Bulgaria, Romania. These are countries that suffered for centuries under Muslim Ottoman Turk rule.
They can't afford it.
Yeah, but Germany tried to pull a fast one because Germany is a graying population. They need workers. They thought they'd get points for humanitarianism. Now Munich is overrun. They can't handle it. And watch, Oktoberfest is going to be a hoot this year.
That's pretty nasty. But wait till you see what happens in Africa.
Really? It is.
Wait till you see what happens in Africa.
Yes,
wait till you see. That's the next one. All right, Colonel, very provocative, good debate. We appreciate it when we come right back. Another criminal murders a police officer, this time in Kentucky, and the alleged perpetrator may have ties to Black Lives Matter. Then Gutfeld and McGurk on what the candidates should do tomorrow night during the Republican debate. Moments away.